It's really great to be here. Bernie Sanders is how I came to be involved with electoral politics in the first place. Before Bernie ran in 2016, I attended protests and I voted. And those were two completely different things, completely unrelated to one another. It was when Bernie ran when I realized, oh, we can get someone into office who I believe in and who's advocating for the policies that I want. That's incredible. And so I went to my first phone banking event for Bernie, and I bought a t-shirt, and I talked incessantly to my friends and my family and my coworkers ad nauseum about Bernie. And then I moved to Santa Cruz, and it was right before the primary here in California, and I went to a meeting at London Nelson where we filled the biggest room. And I just couldn't believe it. I had never felt energy like that before. And even though Bernie lost, I was so pumped, especially with, victories like Sandy, I was so pumped. I felt like we could really change the world. I started knocking doors for Measure M, the rent control, dragged my wife along for that. I started getting involved with local political campaigns. And then there was the 2020 race, again, lost. That actually was a bigger blow to me. But I did stay involved with Santa Cruz for Bernie. And actually, it was through my involvement with Santa Cruz for Bernie that I discovered that there were a number of us in leadership in the advisory group that were very upset with how Jimmy Panetta was dealing with the Ukraine war. And it was me, Jeffrey, Nora, Linda, and we tried to get some time with Panetta, just 5 minutes to talk to him about our concerns. And we couldn't even get those 5 minutes. And that's when I decided to run. I said, and it was, my idea was I'm just going to make t-shirts that say, my daddy didn't run the CIA. I just wanted to call attention to the fact this guy is not in office because of merit. He's in office because of who his daddy is. Yeah. It's nepotism, plain and simple, and everybody knows that. It's funny how often people accidentally call him Leon. Yeah. It happens all the time. So, but then my wife said, no, we need to run a serious race. Like, if you're going to run, let's try to win. And so we made a website, we made flyers, we distributed them at events. We got the Santa Cruz for Bernie endorsement, which was huge, by the way. And then October 7th happened, and that changed everything. Because Jimmy was fully supporting Israel's actions, people started looking for an alternative. And by the time it was December and January, people realized that they couldn't pressure Jimmy to change his position. That's also when we learned that AIPAC was dumping tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars into his campaign. So then people started wanting to support my campaign, but by then it was too late. We didn't have the infrastructure to bring in all these volunteers. However, thanks to Santa Cruz for Bernie knocking doors in Santa Cruz County, and thanks to the large Muslim American community in Santa Clara County that was putting up signs for me, we got the highest vote percentage for a Green candidate running for federal office in the whole country. And if we had had more time to organize with all those volunteers coming in, we could have done a lot better. And that's what's going to happen this time. Congressional District 19, the constituents in this district are waking up to what Jimmy Panetta is. They see what he's done in his unconditional support for what Israel is doing to the people in Palestine. They can also see who his donors are. In 2024, that election cycle, Jimmy Panetta's top donor was AIPAC. Go to opensecrets.org and you can see this. And I think because of that he is unconditionally supporting Israel. And I don't think he's ever going to do what his constituents want. His constituents want an end to the genocide. Mm-hmm. Full stop. Yeah. 80%, almost 80% of Democrats, rank and file Democrats, want an arms embargo on Israel. But we're never going to get that. We're never going to get that from Jimmy Panetta. Now, who is his second biggest donor, according to opensecrets.org? The insurance industry. Do you think someone who's taken all that money from the insurance industry is going to give us Medicare for all? No. Third biggest, real estate. Do you think he's going to give us affordable housing, or is he going to favor the real estate developers, right? I want us to have social housing and public banking. You'll never get that from Jimmy Panetta. Big ag, that's another one. Consistently in his top donors. Is he going to help us end the use of pesticides that are poisoning the children in our community, giving them autism, ADHD, brain cancer, and more? No, he never will. It is politicians like Jimmy Panetta who are taking these donations that are driving people to the right, to people like Donald Trump. because they don't believe in the Democrats. They don't believe that it's possible to elect someone that will fight for them. And so they're falling for Donald Trump. So, as I said, we got the highest percentage of a vote for the Green Party in the whole country. And now that I've got paid staff, I've got some proper infrastructure, I think we can actually shock the country. Yes. So please, I ask for your vote. I think that Santa Cruz for Bernie is absolutely critical to removing Jimmy Panetta from office. Thank you.
Because I call Jimmy Panetta's office almost every week and tell him, we're voting you out, you don't represent your constituents, you're just corrupted by APAC blood money. Every week I call him and tell him. And I'm so glad that I'm going to call him next tomorrow and tell him, yeah, we're going to make sure Sean takes yours.
Well, go to SeanForCongress.org and sign up for our newsletter. You'll start getting email announcements about events that we're doing and ways that you can help the campaign.
My question is, why do you decide to run green? I think you mentioned how 80% of Democrats want to stop the genocide, and my question is just, why not run Democrat, cater to that majority in the party?
I am concerned that when someone runs as a Democrat, it's much easier for them to be co-opted. And the voters have to take their word for it, take the candidate's word for it when they say that they're not going to take all this dark money, this dirty money. As a Green, I'm not allowed to take super PAC money. I'm not allowed to take dark money. If I were to take that money, I would lose the G, and I'd have to go to D. So to me, the G is almost like certified USDA organic. For real, like you see me on the ballot, and you say, oh, you can't take that money. If I took the money, I'd be kicked out. So that to me is the number one thing, because I'm tired of hearing politicians promise the moon and the stars, but then they get into office and they just are totally co-opted. My goal is not to sink the Democratic Party. If anything, my goal is to push the Democratic Party to get that oligarchic money out.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
By the way, Bernie Sanders has very recently encouraged us to run for Congress as independents in districts where that won't risk putting a Republican into office. And let me remind people, because a lot of people don't know this, we have a top 2 primary system here in California. So that means the top 2 vote getters in the primary face off in the general. So the only way that a Republican could get into office in CD19 is if 2 Republicans run in the primary and get position 1 and 2 in the primary and then face off in the general. Not going to happen. Realistically, what's going to happen is it's either going to be Democrat versus Republican or Democrat versus Green facing off in the general. So there's no spoiler effect here with the top 2 system. We're going to be doing a big door-knocking campaign probably in 2026. I want to start right now, but everybody's telling me no, it's too soon, Sean. We're doing social media, we're going to events, passing out flyers. A lot of it's going to have to be word of mouth. If we can afford it, we'll put up billboards. We're paying for ads on social media. Anything that we can afford to do. And we want people to be tabling at the farmers markets, for example. That's something that we've been putting a lot of energy into, is we've been holding these virtual town hall events where we've been partnering with different activist groups. For example, in the past week, we hosted the two people on hunger strike over the use of pesticides, and then we had another guest who's an activist trying to end the use of pesticides, particularly around schools. And so hopefully we're reaching into their communities as well, bringing them in. We're going to be doing one on public transportation. We're going to be doing one on reparations. We've got a whole bunch coming up, and hopefully we're building up a coalition by doing that.